Sequels can be tough. While they usually continue a story that began in the first one, they can also be somewhat disappointing. Our expectations are always so high. How can anything live up to the hype that we conjure up in our own crazy minds? Well, the creators of Bonk, the somewhat mascot of the TurboGrafx-16, found a way with Bonk's Revenge. Quick question. Why in the hell do villains find the need to procreate? King Drool had to go and reproduce, and now we're left with his grandson, King Drool III, who decides he wants to build a monster kingdom of his own. He has stolen half of the moon in order to start his construction. Seriously, what is wrong with these damn kids? Well, Bonk once again must use his head in order to defeat the enemies and put the moon back together again. He can bonk on the side, underneath, and from the top. And just as before, it is a very satisfying attack. Now, no mascot-based platformer would be complete without power-ups. Bonk decides to skip Mario's fungus and jump right to the real deal, meat. He can freeze enemies with the first meat, or conjure up some fire breath, a super ground pound, and a short bout of invincibility with the second. Finding the giant meat powers him up completely, although unfortunately they are all only temporary. The meat is always fun to collect, so let's chow down. Hey. Well, let's get this one instead. Oh, come on! Stupid. Bonk is one crafty little dude. With his teeth, he can climb walls, spin around using his giant mouth, transform into a crab, scale up waterfalls, or take flight on his own personal helicopter. He can also take advantage of the famous flowers, which return from the original game. They provide power-ups and other items, such as springs, food, and the occasional hidden enemy. Oh, stupid. This time, some can also be bonked, turning them different colors, or forcing them to another position, adding a little bit of floret strategy. And let's not forget the bonus rounds, a somewhat staple of the Bonk series. There are 8 of them in Bonk's Revenge, and they can be accessed by locating the tiny flowers sprinkled around the game. Revenge increases the amount of stuff to collect and hidden items to astronomical levels. There are energy replenishment fruit, gems, smiley faces, and fast food spread out all over the place. Since the levels are a little more diverse in this installment, it allows for a lot of exploration. Oftentimes, you have to find special ways to get to items, such as riding a specific volcano shard, or choosing somewhat of an alternate path. Now, if you get addicted to collecting items like I do, well, Bonk's Revenge has so many, you'll definitely get your fix. After defeating an end boss, a special elevator appears taking Bonk to a monster train. The amount of smiley faces you have collected will dictate how far up the elevator goes. The higher up, the more lucrative the monster train can be, awarding heart replenishment, extra heart containers, and maybe even a special warp. The game rewards you for spending time exploring and collecting, and hell, that's pretty awesome. Bonk's Revenge beefs up the graphics this time around with excellent detail and color. It's also a tad reinvented, as things are a bit more cartoony looking. The game just oozes personality, something I love about the entire series. Even though at times it still seems a bit flat, the game overall really looks great. The music and sound is just as bright as the visuals. There are some recreated Bonk's Adventure tunes, like the end boss theme, which are all great. But the original music is also pretty catchy, and the slam sound effect as you bonk an enemy is still skull-cracking fun. The controls are very good and easy to pick up for anyone. Bonk still has a slight delay in his jumping like the original game, This means you have to take your time, especially when disappearing blocks are disappearing below. Spinning in mid-air has been slowed down a notch, making for less hang time if you continuously press the spin button. This bothers a lot of people, but I personally don't mind it at all. The super fast spin of Bonk's Adventure made things a tad easy and made bonking enemies impossible. This toned down spin forces you to be a little more accurate and a little more cautious. Now, a feature of the original I do kind of miss is the ability to continuously bonk the same enemy over and over, maximizing points. Now, you can still bonk off one enemy and slam onto another, which is addictively fun. And I realize this isn't really a big deal, but I do miss my little enemy juggling once in a while. Just a tad. As in Bonk's Adventure, you'll find 1-ups will really start to rise quickly, especially if you're good at action platform games and explore a lot of the stages in depth. Luckily, Bonk's Revenge is longer than the previous, with so much diversity that it has a lot more replay value. Now, if you're not a Bonk aficionado, you can choose an easier mode to begin with, which will limit the number of stages you can play through. But since the Bonk series is pretty pick up and play, I think you'll find the expert/default level will be just fine. But be careful, everything kills you in this one, even the snowballs. Oh, jeez, I guess Bonk needs to pull out his winter wardrobe. Ow, stop it! Stupid. Bonk's Revenge is a fantastic game and an excellent sequel that not only continues the story of the original, but increases the fun factor and reinvents itself in the process. If you explore and collect most of the stuff, you'll find that the 7 stages are rather lengthy. Heart containers and extra lives will grow to a very huge amount, and as a result, you'll probably beat the game within the allotted 3 continues. But Revenge has that epic feel about it, and you'll enjoy every second. It is one of the best platformers on the system, and to me, it proves that a sequel can meet or surpass our own crazy expectations.